Good morning. Good morning, everybody. 12 noon out here in Ohio. Come join me. I'm all set for jewelry talk today. Yes, I've started. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Don't you love how all this technology is nowadays? It's so nice and easy. And there's Christina. Nice to see you, Christina. Good morning, Adrian. There's Adrian. Good morning. Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm actually thinking spring here. One of my favorite things with accessories is handbags, jewelry, and jackets. And boots were always my very favorite things, accessories. So I'm always, good morning, good morning. Nice to see you. Yay. Oh my gosh, you guys. And Elderwood's here. Oh my gosh. Good morning, everybody. Oh, thank you. You just love my jewelry. I'm gorgeous with my jewelry. It was so much fun this weekend. Handbags. Yay. I know. Handbags, jewelry, jackets, like lightwear jackets, and long, short, tall, just to throw over because, of course, remember how I always talk about things, guys? I just have a t-shirt underneath because I'm here in my studio, and when I'm done talking today, off come the nice stuff, and there I am in my t-shirt where I can get my work done, splash pickle on if I need to. Nice to see you guys. Good morning. Hello. Oh my gosh. And there's Matt. My neighbor Matt joined me. See, he can come by later and tell me how beautiful I look. Right, Matt? So good morning, everybody. I'm super excited. I was in yesterday. I had all that work of getting Milan out the door. And I was really excited because I came in my studio yesterday and there was nobody. You're gold. There was nobody in here. So I just sat in my studio and I didn't have a goal to work on. I just kind of fumbled around. I built actually a couple things. I'm super excited. You guys know my favorite shapes that I do with my favorite mastodon. And this is some of the new shapes of the gem sale that I have coming up. Gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I'm super excited about the gems coming up. The colors are different. I'll post about it. It's March 13th. Beautiful collections because these small ones, these small shapes of small squares, and I just have one here, but they're really high. So you get the really high gems. With the high rose cut there, you get a beautiful glimmer in the front. And I have tiny, large, all different sizes. They're so light, so I'm really impressed. Hi, Mary Jo. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me, you guys. Nice to see you. Come on. And I got to work with my Kona shell in completion. I think you guys have always seen me wear this. But this was actually the one that's done all the way around. It's almost done the exact same way, that collar bracelet that people really enjoyed. This one, actually, the thing I decided to do about this piece is that these are all detachable. So, I can always wear them long when I want to, tuck it away. This is my favorite little place to tuck a little amulet. I think it's just very sexy and beautiful. And then when I want to, I can just take it right off of here and just wear it as a choker. So that's kind of the nice thing that I like to do because I don't always want to have a big pendant on here. Right, guys? Good morning. There's Jewels of the Nomad is where the gem sale is going to be on March 13th. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. I have labradorite in there. I have, I'll show you guys a film later on of what there is. There's labradorite. There is Carnelian this time. As I'm getting closer and thinking about Morocco and India, I'm loving these oranges of carnelians. I always remember seeing these gorgeous carnelian colors up. And then, of course, I think you guys all got to see my ring stacker. I know a lot of people know the ring stackers, but, the ring stackers, the rings, this actually is a tiny. Who would believe I'm doing tiny? It's just a stack of 2 hollow forms and a gem set. And, it's separate from my stackers. But you guys, I hope you guys got to see. Love the choker. Yes, flexibility adds to the fun. I totally agree, because a lot of times, this one, it's tucked in here nicely, like I said, but sometimes if I have a more active day, I really love having a choker. Lately in my life, I'm into a way bigger stack than this normally on my wrist. I'm into earrings and bracelets. Give me those two, and then some rings on my hand. And I'm actually, thank you so much. That's so sweet. Good morning. Nice to see everybody. Detachable. So, so many times people ask me about how I would work my detachable, and that's kind of what I would do. So thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I know. Really beautiful, you guys. There'll be a lot in there. I put together a lot of $100 bags and then some $200 collections. But also, I requested this time, I found I was really low and I was needing them myself. Just all these little tiny ones. So I have bags of just tiny varieties where you can get, 20 little tiny stones in there for the package of 100. And it's just nice to get that mix. I love curating these mixes, putting them in pairs and just getting them along. You can do a lot with some tiny gems, especially with these, these are actually the new cut right here. And, these tiny ones here are really come in handy. There's a tiny one there. This is a medium size, halfway decent. And then this is wood. You guys know I just built that big wood piece. So really exciting. I do want to say that I'm already having some, I talked to you guys about really, and some people already do this, but really putting who you are out there, like bravely standing behind your brand or bravely standing behind who you are, finding out who you are by that artist breath, by breathing, by getting into your real work, and then you can stand behind it and you are your work. Teardrops, squares, rectangles. Oh my gosh, beautiful circles. They're gorgeous. But so when you're really standing behind your work, for me, the past 3 years has been when, even before I started with my first group in intentional metalsmithing, my first year was really this undoing process, that I talk about. And it's actually a little bit, it's halfway of what my membership program is going to be about. It'll be more advanced steps for people who have already went through, intentional metalsmithing, who are looking for a little bit more. And also it's more about the whole undoing process is what my membership that I'm working on in April for people. But, really in finding the core of who you are, what you're about. So the interesting thing is the louder my brand becomes, I told you guys I found my 5 words, and the louder my brand becomes, I actually had this incredible brand ambassador contact me. And, it really is about putting together a fashion show. She's putting together a fashion show. It'll be here in the United States. I can't say any names or details because everything is still kind of up in the air. She loved my stick piece. She loved some of the big pieces. So, I'm looking forward to it. And, hey guys, nice to see you. So I'm really looking forward to it, but I know that this opportunity came from the hard work that I put in these past couple of years about defining who I am, what I'm about. It's like, I think you guys have really helped me out because I get in and I research stories and things that I've done in my life, and it's like I definitely know that I'm a nomad. It's like my work is based on nomad. I track nomad jewelry. I track my whole silversmithing program is nomad. My whole cold join program is nomadic. As Christine and I are getting ready and we're moving into the Making Connections book, the cold joint book, I'm doing films and I'm doing some new pieces with that work. It's like I'm putting together the same kind of a toolkit where it's inexpensive and nomadic as well. So, knowing these things about myself, all of the stuff I've done in the past 3 years, I've been able to find out, even though I know I'm the one that lived these experiences, but it just is about kind of writing them down, getting at my core. And it's really what I talk to my students about, and especially in the membership program, it's going to be about, about just really getting into your stories and who you are. In fact, I'm going to tell a little story about myself, one that just popped up today. I was sitting here talking to an artist friend. We raise our kids together. She's a professor in Oberlin, and we were just chit-chatting a little bit, and I was like, oh my gosh, she was telling me she was going to Oregon, and I was like, oh, I used to live in Oregon, of course, but when I lived in California, one of the things that my friend and I would love doing is we would go up into the eastern part of Oregon where there was all these old homesteads out there back in the mid to late 80s. I mean, we just kind of drove our little car. Thank God our car didn't break down. It was like Hicktown out there, right? Back in the mid 80s to late 80s. So this was like, I used to live in Central Oregon, and then I lived in Eugene, Oregon, but all the way eastern Oregon, where there was just a lot of cattle, meat that roamed. These used to be just acres and acres would be given away to people who would live there for 5 years. And when I was in that eastern part of Oregon, it was so interesting because, of course, I had to buy a couple homesteading books and track some homesteaders back then and how they lived. It was this kind of nomadic lifestyle, or this like uprooting lifestyle, and getting a fresh start, is really, really what interested me. But what happened at that period of time, you live near Hicktown. Now I don't know if it's Hicktown anymore. It used to be, oh my gosh, Bend, Oregon was Hicktown. And now I hear it's this, you can't even buy a house there. It's so expensive, right guys? Okay, so, it actually was a lot of people were given this land, maybe 20, 40, 100 acres in eastern Oregon. And, here these people came from the East Coast. They got over into eastern Oregon, and the first thing they thought of is, we're going to do some crops out here. So they pulled up the whole, many people at first, when you first arrive, there's no map on how to treat the land. So they pulled up that whole layer, all the tumbleweeds, dug out that first layer, and they planted their seeds. And they found it was so windy. We do most of our digging there. Nice. It was so windy that the crops would just endlessly blow away. And back in the 40s, before the internet, in the 1940s, it's like half of over in this area, people were so poor, and they were so, they couldn't get their crops going because it was, a dust bowl, basically a dust bowl, and everyone on the East Coast was like, whatever, it's not happening here. They couldn't believe it. They couldn't imagine it. And then there was actually a photographer who I also tracked. I had his book. I should have brought it today. Oh my God, it was amazing. It was from the 1940s. And this photographer from the East Coast went into Oregon, Oklahoma, this whole area, and he photographed the people really on how they lived, what they did, all of that. And, he would go into these little shanties of children that didn't even have clothes on. And we're talking, not just, we're not talking, we're talking like the white race, we're talking the black race, we're talking both of them, they just were devastated, so he took all these photographs. He really focused in on their faces. Bend is no longer a hick town. I know, it's a really hip town, and people, I hear there's a lot of skiing there. So yes, there's Sherry. Her and I talked about this in Mexico. I used to live in Chamalt, and we would have to drive 2 hours, Dust Bowl living. I'd have to drive 2 hours to get into Bend for a grocery store to shop. And now it is like this thriving metropolis for young people who love to ski and snowboard and all that. So explosive, yes. So it's really kind of fun to see things when I saw them years ago. I'm so glad that I had an opportunity when I was in my teens and in my 20s to travel some places around the world and travel all around the United States. My parents are both nomadic. Wasn't I lucky, or was I not lucky? We don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out, right? So that's kind of funny. So yeah, so so it's like this. I'll get the book for you guys and I'll put it up on my Amazon list. I have it at home. I wish I would have brought it, because the haunting looks that this photographer focused on and captured faces of people starving during this time. It was brought back to, guess I just shouldn't have sold that 40 acres back in the 80s. Oh no, I know. Oh my gosh, love. Well, it is what it is, right? What did I do there? I worked for the Forest Service. So I used to fight forest fires in Shamal, Oregon. So I came up from California, and for 2 years, my first year, I lived strictly in that area, and they'd fly us out to different areas. My second year, I came out to Shamal again. I just had to live in like a trailer. There was or live on the Forest Service. And my second year, I was on a hotshot crew, and I just constantly flew around, rappelled into places, nomadic again. I got to rappel into places and just be in nature. I think I grew up in the south side of Chicago. Your girls lived there for many years, and I've been trying to get me to move there. Oh my gosh, Sherry, that'd be so much fun. I'll come visit you when you do, okay? So I grew up in the south side of Chicago. I mean, we did travel a lot. It was always so amazing for me to see open countryside, because when you're in Chicago, it's like I couldn't even imagine. I just thought the world was overpopulated when you're in the cities. You just think that the world is overpopulated. It's so refreshing for me to get into the country and see wide open spaces. Booming wine country, nice, very nice. Yes, oh my gosh, wine. I love wine, so that's my favorite. So, that's kind of everybody who has their places and their things. I'm so cool. Oh my gosh. We'll see. You know what I mean? We'll see. Still in progress. But that popped into my head today we used to go into these homestead areas where there were just thin sheets hanging for insulation. And, beautiful the way things were constructed. The old outhouses, people would go in there originally because that's where a lot of people stashed their money. And if they died on the land, maybe their money was still stashed, a lot of people thought of. So a lot of people you could just go into these old homesteads and kind of dig around. So once I think we found there was like a cow that came there and went into the living room and just died there. So it was interesting. But anyway, yeah, and explore oh my God, it'd be so much fun to explore my old haunting grounds. So true. Yes. So, in illustrated history, yay, that's it. Okay. So, Christina, can you put that? Jean has this down here, The Dust Bowl, an Illustrated History, Ken Burns. That is the book I'm talking about, where this photographer has these amazing haunting, the people are so haunting. They're literally starved and checked out. And, the photographer came through and brought these photographs back to the East Coast and back to our president at the time. And finally, people opened up their eyes and was like, okay, maybe there is a problem in the world, If you think about it, when you're, back in the 40s, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, maybe don't even know who your president is back then. You know what I mean? Okay, there's another one. Doretha Lange. So, nice, very nice. Really interesting if you just are curious. I had it as a coffee table book. For me, there was an experience that I had. When I first started doing my jewelry work, I moved to the north side of Chicago. And I was just telling my daughter this, and I'm an entrepreneur. And I was like, I'm not going to waitress. I'm not going to do any of this. I'm going to only work my profession. So I'm hungry enough to be successful in my field. I mean, that's what I decided to do when I was on the north side of Chicago. So, it was really interesting. I didn't have a lot of money, but I could, I really focused I bought beautiful silver and was able to make my pieces and sell my work, and I did really well. But, my rent was high and all of that. So, there was one time I just had gotten back from Thailand where I had a run and I had bought beautiful fabrics and jewelry and all of this. And hi, nice to see you. Great. And I was like, okay, I found this. So I was on the north side of Chicago. I found this little, they had wine there. It was like a little 7-Eleven or something, but it wasn't a 7-Eleven. I mean, it was in a bad neighborhood where you have to be careful, But they had like a $5 bottle of wine that was so good, and I love wine. So I pulled up there and parked my car, got out of my car, and I saw these guys that were hanging around the public phone before cell phones. They're all 3 guys hanging around the public phone, kind of dressed real city. I'm like, I better quick get past these guys, And And so then I get in, buy my $5 bottle of wine. I think at the time, like I lived very inexpensively then. I didn't really have any money. My house was slim, my apartment that I was renting. So I come out the door and these guys are like, I bet you're rich. And I was like, me? No, I'm not rich, And he's like, I bet you even have a phone. And I was like, oh my gosh, I do have a phone. I am rich. I have to think of it that way. I have a phone in my house, So I was like, how interesting. It's just a different perspective, So, anytime that you're down, they say gratitude. It's gratitude that lifts your spirit and brings you back up. And it certainly brought my spirits up at that time, talking about gratitude. I was like, I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I have a phone. So that was really interesting. So anyway, those are my 2 little stories today. So nice to see everybody. I wanted to tell you guys that Saturday, if you guys are on the fence about taking an intentional metalsmithing course, we're closing the doors for this group on Saturday. So you want to join up before Saturday. And I think at some point soon, we're taking the alchemy of soldering down. So, that's at the same time. When we close the doors, we're taking alchemy of soldering down. Now, anyone inside of intentional metalsmithing will have access to alchemy of soldering anytime you want it. So, a lifetime. So, don't worry about that. It'll just be inside of our group. Next Wednesday, I am going to start my first call with the group. I'm coming on to intentional metalsmithing this coming Wednesday. And I'm just going to kind of open up the group, talk to everybody, see how everybody's doing. And tomorrow, I am on the Alchemy of Soldering Facebook group to answer any questions that anyone has. Talk about tools. Oh, thanks. I'm so glad you like it. Yay, good. But, so the reason I tell this stories too is that this story, the first story that I talked about, the homesteading, I just remembered today, and I need to go back and put that in my notes, because as I'm looking at all my stories, I'm seeing what a nomadic traveler I am. I'm seeing my motivations to wanting a nomadic traveling kit, a nomadic jewelry, to track this type of jewelry, to build my line, to name my company Jewels of the Nomad, all of this. So, for you too, the more you dig into your stories, the more you find who you are. And me too, you would think I would know myself after, 35 years of doing jewelry or whatever it is, 30, who knows? There's always, you can always put pieces to the puzzle together. So it's interesting. I'm doing a live Q&A tomorrow in the group Alchemy of Soldering. Show up there. I'll be right here in my small studio. I'll be talking about tools. I'll be answering questions, mostly answer questions. Give me your questions, guys, if anyone has any questions. 12 noon. So I'm going to be here at 12 noon answering questions. I'll have it set up this way so you guys can see my studio actually from this angle. And I'll just kind of start talking a little bit about, I might talk about anvils and small anvils, different sizes, uses, how to manage them in your studio and all of this. And usually I start with something and then the questions start rolling in. So I'm here to answer questions, so that'll be good. Yeah. So that's on the Alchemy of Soldering. That's tomorrow at 12 noon. And then next Wednesday, then Saturday, we close the signups for intentional metalsmithing, and we close down the Alchemy of Soldering to the public, and then we just have it within our group. So no worries there, guys. And so then we'll be on intentional metalsmithing. We have this new group. I'm going to be showing up. I'm showing up next Wednesday, answering questions, and I'm going to show up on a regular basis. On this one, I think it'd be good. I love seeing everybody, and I'll still come here, But I'm going to be doing more technical answering questions, because these I know are everyone who has taken the course and is in the course. So that, when I get onto jewelry talk is more of where I kind of like to just tell stories and talk about a tool and talk about a stone and make my announcements and things like that. Wednesday noon, I think noon is good, but it'll be recorded too. So no worries. You're still building your tool supplies. Yes, if you sign up now, you can take the classes anytime, and you can be in the group of Intentional Metalsmithing. Yes, and Alchemy and Soldering will be in the Intentional Metalsmithing group. So absolutely. Yay! Nice, guys. We've come a long way, and I'm so grateful to have all the new people that are in the group. I really am grateful, and we're on our way to building some pretty cool stuff, right? If you think about it, hollow forms, granulations in there. This actually is a takeoff from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, it's a culmination of all the chapters. So this too, the little hollow form, The smaller, so the medium-sized pieces, if you notice in my films, I did all work with medium-sized pieces. Medium pieces are the easiest to work with. Not that it's easy, but it's the easiest to work with. I always start with medium size in any of my workshops, especially when I have people for a short time, unless I have you for 5 days, because because anytime you go larger or smaller, you just have to have more skills. And I saw a piece on there where someone, I can't remember who it was, but I loved it. I scrolled past, it was this gorgeous little broken, Deborah, I think it was, wasn't it? A blown out box. I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was intentional. And then I saw she was disappointed because she was looking for the perfection of it. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. But you guys, it's just practice. The reason why I wanted to do an online intentional metalsmithing and alchemy and soldering course is that I would show up for 6 hours, and you can't show everything. I'm seeing what's happening with this course is that this course, you're learning skills. You're not just learning how to build a project. You're learning deep skills, and you're doing it yourself by going within our group, but you're doing it yourself. You have to be proud of yourself. Yes, I'm instructing you, but you're the one that's going into your studio, and you're the one that's doing the work to get to your artistic self, your creative self. Everyone is creative. If you have a curiosity, I think Elizabeth Gilbert, Eat, Pray, Love, talks about curiosity equals creativity, which I thought was so interesting, and it's true. It's like if you are curious about how something is built, that's your creative side. That's like getting excited, and even just getting excited about how it's built or how you get there. Curiosity is creativity, which is so interesting. I guess we get to love the beauty of accidents. Yes, you do. That's what you do. You get to love the beauty of accidents, really, and luckily, you guys, right now, it really is a time where people are buying this type of beautiful alternative, it's all of this work that's fusing and, all of this type of work. So it's kind of interesting. I really love it a lot. To have a blown out piece and then set a gem on there. So, it really is pretty cool. So, so anyway, it's just, if you get into your studio 2 to 3 times a week, you're going to get there yourself, and then come back in and meet with the group so you don't feel isolated. It's nice to have your people. It's nice to have a group. It's nice to have a couple groups. I know some people love having a lot of groups. For me, I feel like I get too scattered if I have a lot of groups. So for me, I just like having my 1 group or my 2 groups. And, it's like I have my group here. Organic is in right now. Yes, it is. So there you go. Yes. So, just getting in your studio, working the tools. The thing I love about these torches too, and this process is that, you're safe. You can be some people have tabletop kitchen, studios, and this is really the safest when you're in your studio soldering. It's just really easy to do, easy to solder with, not that expensive. Yes, it is a can that gets, can be recycled with the metals guys, those metals guys that come by and, doing your own shape and doing all of this. So getting your story. So let me see if there's anything else. Oh, the Q&A for Alchemy and Soldering is on Facebook It'll be within the Facebook group, and that's tomorrow, within the Alchemy of Soldering Facebook group. Come there, and I'm going to talk about anvils and things like that, unless something else pops up. You never know. And also, let's see, I tell you what I'm working on now. Yesterday was amazing for me. I got to come into my studio and just build in bliss. Isn't that amazing when you can do that? You know, sometimes I'm building for, for Milan. I was building for Milan for so long. I'm building for a jewelry seller. I'm building for like a project to show caging or, all different things like that. And it was really fun. I just came in. I got to complete this piece. I worked on, these pieces here. I got to work on my earrings. And they're actually pretty light. Look, you don't see my ear sagging down. This is the new gem that I have in. You guys recognize this from Bezels Expanded, right? Wires. Here's Bezels Expanded. Hollow form. This is just making a bezel. It just looks different. And then this is the Mastodon. And then here's the back of it. So I was really excited. I decided from when I worked on these pieces, I'm doing probably like, I have 24 of them lined up. So we'll see. I have 24. For summer, it's like, I just want to see me just walking around with my hair up and in a simple dress, especially when I go to India. I think this is I want to build some jewelry for India. So I think you guys know, just last night, I decided to shift more time in my studio. To at night. You must be a night person. Good for you. Yes, nice. So it was so nice for me to have that time yesterday. So now today, for the rest of my day, I am making plans to finish up my paperwork for India. Kind of the cool thing is, you guys know I mentioned last week I'm taking a trip to India. I am going near the Thar Desert, which I showed a book like that. So here's the interesting thing about the Thar Desert. This actually, it's near Jaipur. It's close to that border. It is desert. It used to be a trail. Is it desert? I don't know if it's desert. I can't say. If Jay's on, she'll say. I do know that it's used to be back in time. It was the Indian and Persian people that came through on camels. So it used to be a camel thoroughway where people came with all their wares and all their trades, and they would come through the Thar Desert. And it was such a prosperous area that in came all the artists and craftspeople. So what happened there is goldsmiths, because they were able to access gold in this area, goldsmiths became more and more sophisticated here. There was a goldsmith for the king, for the king that lived in the royal, I don't know if it was a king, it was in the royal palace anyway. And they actually have an interview in the book that I showed last week. They have an interview of his ancestors had worked in the royal palace doing the silversmithing. So in this area came all the, it was a real prosperous area. People were coming through with camels for trade, with money, all of this. And silversmiths, leather makers developed there, goldsmiths developed there, traditions. They really, jewelry, they really had some depth for skills that these people learned in this area. You saw it on the map. Yes, I just pulled up the map too. Yes, it was an important by trades. And then soon the ships started coming in. So that actually got to be a lot quieter of an area. Ships started bringing commerce in from all over, since the rivers were right there, and water sources. So they stopped with this waterway coming, with the camels coming through. And they started doing a lot of the trade with ships. So some of the skills were lost, but it really had to make a big shift and redefine itself and rediscover itself. So I am really excited about going out into that area. I'm really happy about going with a friend of mine who grew up in India, who I just adore her. And we're going to bum around for a couple days. And then what I'm going to do, what I'm so excited to do. Oh, see that? You guys were all there. The list of books, Christina, do you mind popping that up there? The books actually are on my Amazon list. So I have an Amazon list of books that I fell in love with, read over and over. So when we split paths, I still have quite a few days. I just want to sit and soak in architecture. I want to soak in, just villages, clothing, colors, smells, everything, everything. If I can just go out and sit. I'm also going to one day, how can I help it, hop on a tourist bus and just tour one day. Why not? And just kind of soak it in. I could always come home and relax and let it all settle in. I'm just staying in this one area since COVID is still around. There it is. So right there is where Amazon, that's the link for the Amazon where I recommend the books that I do. And actually, maybe we'll get that one from the 40s up too. That was kind of a nice one. So that's kind of really what I want to say. I'm getting prepared for that. I'm leaving the 21st. I'm trying to get my shots in, my vaccinations. It's hard because guess what? I'm not old enough. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. So she's recommending. That's what I studied was textiles at the Art Institute of Chicago. It's the best way to travel. Just sit and absorb. Oh my gosh. And then I'm going to be super excited to see what I come home with, what comes home with me on my style. So it'll be really fun. My travel and design spirit person. Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. So do you love to travel then? Nice. Oh, well, you know what? So anyway, you guys, if anyone is interested in India, there is a trip. I'm going to go there and kind of scope out the area. I have the trip to India up on my website. It's January of 22. And then I also have a trip to Morocco, October of 21. It was full, but I think, if anyone wants to join, there was a couple people who joined. I was really excited to see the couple people who, put their names in because I'd love to travel with you guys. But anyone who wants to join us for Morocco, Morocco, the trip itinerary is on there. And maybe, I think there's a couple people because we were supposed to go in 2020. We all know what happened there. So anyway, there's a couple spaces open. Yay! 2022 for traveling. That's good. Yes, slating 2022 for the traveling. Yes. The thing I do love about going to India right now, it actually is closed to tourism. So I'm going there for business, and it's kind of, I figure, good on both sides because one, we couldn't go into India right now on a tour anyway. Morocco open for spots. Yes, Morocco is open for spots. I'm pretty sure if you contact me or Christina, we'll get you over to Michelle. Michelle is organizing everything. And Michelle's organizing everything. And there's a couple people that have to back out. And back then, she put money down on everything, and it was non-refundable. So there's a couple people that want to back out. So if anyone else hops on, if you guys want to hop on, we'll just do a switch, and we'll be happy with our travelers and all that. So makes sense? Morocco is open for spots. So good. All right, you guys. Also, soon I'm going to be writing up my Mexico retreat. And remember again, just keep building yourself. Keep building who you are. I see a lot of people on here now, and I see your Instagrams, and I like how you guys are really defining who you are. There's a few people in here that are really an inspiration to follow, right? Who are in the Intentional Metalsmithing group. So it's really fun to see people getting deeper and deeper into defining who they are. It makes it easier for people to buy from us. It makes it easier for us to talk about our stuff and to photograph. You know what I mean? If once you have your package and know who you are, it's easier to photograph because you're just coming from a place of 5 words or a place of, your descriptive words and who you are. For me, Jules of the Nomad, coming from that, it's okay, it kind of helps me to think of how I want my pieces photographed. Make sense? Growing. Yay. Feels great. I know it's so much fun. It really is fun to be an artist because, again, like I talked about last week, it's this being in the moment in your studio of having nothing else going on in your world. When you love something, you get in there and you're in the moment and your life is beautiful, and you're literally kind of funneling from source, you know, your ideas, how to do things. And that's again why I kind of like using this torch, because when you're funneling your artwork, you know, you want to be as safe. You don't want I feel like many times jewelers, and there's, you know, goldsmiths, you're very technical directed. You're directed towards technique on how to perfectly get these joins. You know, like for me, I remember when I was at this big event. It was a goldsmith event, and we were talking, and she was like, oh my gosh, I love your work. It's so organic. And I'm like, yeah, yours is beautiful and precise. I love it. I can always admire it. And, you know, she was talking perfect joins. Like that was her conversation with her peers, where, you know, the perfect join and getting it, how do you measure with this tool and get it in here like that, you know? And for me as an artist, I'm talking expression, and I'm talking how to get my piece built properly to express itself for what I want to say. So different ways, all different ways. And I have that in the book. We're still working on the book. It's coming out soon. A lot of different projects in the background. So, all right, you guys, maybe I'll see some of you guys on Alchemy of Soldering Facebook tomorrow at noon. If nothing else, don't forget Saturday is the last day to sign up for intentional metalsmithing courses. And then I'm going to show up Wednesday, and we'll have a meeting, and we'll kind of open up the course to everybody in it. So that'll be good. So get onto the new Facebook group, the Intentional Metalsmithing. All right, you guys, enjoy your studio. Enjoy. I survived. Hey, I wanted to tell you guys, I survived snowboarding for 3 days. I was so excited. I was so scared. I couldn't sleep because I haven't snowboarded for 4 years, and my mojo changed so much. I'm all now like Jules of the Nomad, where I used to be a badass, you know? So I was like, but I really had fun. I survived. I stayed in the moment, going to, you know, just figuring out, maneuvering down all these hills. So staying in the moment is always it. All right, you guys, thank you so much for showing up. Enjoy being in your studio, and I will talk to you guys all very, very soon. Okay, bye-bye.